This is the moment I've been waiting for. Frankie motherfucking Wonga is our newest crowned Drag Race Thailand season winner, and I cannot be more happy that this dumpster fire of a season ended on a high note. Hi, hello everyone, welcome in. My name is Jer, and we are talking about the grand finale of season 3 of Drag Race Thailand. This has been such an emotional roller coaster all season. I have been not enjoying really anything. I think the acting challenge was the height of the season for me. That was the best storyline, the best acting, one of the best scripts. Everything was done extremely well, and I enjoyed what we got to see. That was honestly the moment for me where I thought, okay, the show's getting better, and then it didn't. So let's talk about this episode and break it down for the very last time of Drag Race Thailand Season 3. The girls are in a pretty emotional state at the beginning of the episode, understandably. Spicy, in my opinion, should not be here, and I have not been quiet about that. Spicy should have gone home at least 3 other times so far this season. There was no reason for her to be called safe. More importantly, no reason for her to be called safe first. The rest of the episode is pretty basic. They have a main challenge to lip sync to Bring Back My Girls by RuPaul. I was excited to see a music video challenge, but disappointed more than anything to find out it was just a return to form a la season 1 to 8, where they just lip sync to a song. And I think Drag Race has evolved past this point of just lip syncing to a song. I mean, hell, even the international seasons do actual line recording for their final RuPaul song. We recently on my podcast have finished talking about Drag Race España season 1, Drag Race Down Under season 1, Canada season 1. Even those international seasons in their early iterations had songs that they recorded lines to. If I'm not mistaken, in season 2, they recorded their own lines to I Will Survive. I don't know why they pulled that song, but they even did that then. So to see a complete shift in production, in budget, in style of finale, I was extremely disappointed to see that they did not get to record their own lines. I also was a little bit confusion on why they had to do their own choreography. These are first timers. These are not all-stars. These are girls who were not prepared for a shift in dynamic to match the current state of Drag Race. I have been complaining about this all season, that they keep making them do things that they did not prepare for at all. It would be like going to the Olympics, knowing that you do pole vaulting, and then they ask you to do a marathon instead. And they say, oh, well, you're physically fit, so you should be able to do this other category. In Drag Race, especially in Drag Race Thailand, if you prepare for mostly photo shoots where you've got nice looks that are gonna be editorial, you're preparing for challenges that are going to be more heavy on runway focus. You're preparing your energy to not be as funny. You're prepared to be fabulous. You're prepared to be interesting and dynamic. And you do not get the opportunity to do that, you are not going to succeed. And these queens have been all season just flounced by production into another direction, and it's super frustrating to see. Again, is there no budget this season? Not giving them a choreographer was beyond disrespectful, in addition to making them record the final product on the day they were rehearsing. At first I was confused why they made them get in drag to do their choreography rehearsal. And then when the final product happened and I saw it was the exact same setup that they did for rehearsal, I was triply upset. Why the heck would you make them do their rehearsal and recording in the same breath? Unless there was no time, no money, no energy put into this. And again, I asked the question, is there no budget this season? Why are they constantly disrespecting these queens at every turn? And I don't want to hear a line that they were expecting a top 3 and Spicy's presence there made them have to readjust plans so they couldn't get a choreographer and they couldn't get a vocal coach to come and help them record lines. Like, I don't want to hear any of those excuses, because if that was it, that's BS. There is no reason that it went the way that it did. And Bring Back My Girls? Why? I don't understand. This is a really odd cut for what this season's style has been. They also did a little sit down with Pangina, except it was really surface level. And that's kind of been my problem all season, is that the season has just been surface level. We do not go deep in Drag Race Thailand season 3. I remember in season 2, Vanda talking about her eczema and what that was doing for her drag and her body image. And I remember so much more personality from season 2 than we ever got this season. And so I was expecting for this final lunch to really delve into some of these characters. Why is Frankie such a weirdo? When really all we talked about was that she does special effects makeup. And it was discussed, oh, we see what you do. And yes, I see what Frankie does, and I love what Frankie does, but why does Frankie do those things? I'm thinking about all of these old seasons of Drag Race where Rue and Michelle would ask, so where does this come from? Where do you get that energy? How do you keep pushing through? And we didn't get any of that. It just stayed here. The only one who went even slightly deep was Godland, and that was only because she chose to do so and sort of redirected the conversation to what she wanted to talk about. Which, can I say, Godland was the MVP of this episode, and I cannot wait to talk about the moment that she really just exploded for me as a star. Then Pangina lies directly to Spicy's face, telling her that every time that she lip synced, she came back with new energy, which she did not. Because she was doing the exact same thing every single time, the exact same energy, the exact same runway style, the exact runway package that she had been doing all season. It was recycled. It wasn't new. New means you lip sync and then you come back and you're better and you learn from your mistakes. You don't overexert your energy. You don't underexert your energy. You present a better runway package. You work harder on your styling. You work better on your makeup. Spicy was doing the same thing week after week after week after week. And it continues to lend to my theory that Spicy saw someone at World of Wonder run over a pedestrian and she's got blackmail on them or something. Because this like constant placating is crazy to me. There has got to be something in that first product, in the recording session that they were seeing that we never got to see in the edited product of this season. Overall, what I was let down by was I wanted to know where Frankie's oddities came from. I wanted to know why Godland has so much ferocity behind her and so much wind. I wanted to know why Spicy was still there. And I wanted to know where ZP drew her energy from. Turns out it was all from Cabaret, which, why are we 10 episodes in and we're now talking about the fact that she's got a Cabaret background? Because as far as I remember, this has not been discussed in any length throughout the rest of the show. Maybe it was mentioned in episode 1 and I missed it, but I was completely unaware that ZP did Cabaret. I also had no idea that ZP was trans. I fully thought that this was an AFAB person because they've never spoken about it. And all season there's been one word that they've used. I don't know if I'm allowed to say it, so I'm not going to. That I didn't know what it was. I assumed it was like when Brits call people slags. I assumed it was like just some, name. I didn't know what it was. Only to finally Google it and be like, what the heck does this word mean? Because ZP used it in relation to herself, and suddenly all the gears connected for me and I understood, okay, that's what this word is meant. They probably just didn't translate it for censorship reasons. But that never stops Drag Race España from throwing around the F slur anytime they can and making sure it shows up in the edited subtitles. So I don't understand why they didn't at least modify this slang word, which is probably a slur, why they didn't modify it for television so that it would make sense in the translation. Because there is a translation team that is trying to make sure that this season is servable to people who do not understand Thai. So for me, hearing this word that starts with a K, I had no idea what it meant until I finally Googled it. And now I understand. I don't know if that would have necessarily made sense for me in the early part of the season because I was completely under the impression that ZP was AFAB. I love that she's a drag trans cabaret performer. Why are we on episode 10 and that's now finally being discussed? So as far as the music video is concerned, it was pretty standard, nothing big, nothing exciting. As I said, it was pretty disrespectful to make them do the things they did. Can I say on a personal note, I'm really tired of the juggling waitress move. This one, I'm really tired of this. It has gone on far too long, and it has infested the Drag Race sphere, and I'm tired of that dance move. Can we please retire it? Afterwards, we get to see the eliminated queens, and I had two standouts. One was Shotgun. Loved this look. It was so top tier. It was just cool. And, of course, my queen Nane stole the show. That was her runway. She shut down the party fully for me. And in my opinion, Nane deserved top 3. And then as far as the final looks, I thought Frankie looked beautiful in her mug, but I didn't love this dress. I think the screen printed fabric underneath didn't really translate that well for me. Overall, it just kind of looked a little bulky and not fierce to me. And I think your final look should be kind of fierce. I also don't think that the horror translated as well as I think Frankie wanted it to. Godland, in my opinion, kind of ran out of clothes. This could have absolutely been her iconic look, and then her Marsha look could have been the finale, because they were both kind of simple gowns, but easily could have been flip-flopped. And I think doing a Marilyn look for the iconic would have made just as much sense, if not maybe a little bit more. And then for her finale look, pay homage to Marsha P. Johnson. And I think those easily could have been flip-flopped, because the Marsha one was definitely more elevated and higher caliber. I can only assume she did not do Marilyn during that runway, because it was a thought of this could stick me in the bottom if I put on this kind of lower end costume to what I've been presenting, especially considering that Spicy kind of stole that runway a little bit with that look. So maybe that frightened her and she swapped them. Spicy's dress was really pretty, but when the bar has been down here, is it a good look or am I just disappointed with everything else? I'm only glad that it was not mesh or net or lace. However, she was lumbering pretty hard on the runway, but the judges seemed to live for it. Question mark? ZP looked like she also ran out of clothes. The corset was fine. It was a bit bulky and it needed a little more shape, especially for the fact that it didn't come off until the midpoint of the lip sync. It should have maybe been a little more fitted. It should have had more curves. It just looked big for her body. And if this was supposed to represent her cabaret background, I don't know if it did that flawlessly. It looked more like a look that you would actually see in the nightclubs rather than something that would be presenting for the main stage. And surprisingly, the only one who actually turned it for me for these final looks of the finalists was Spicy. So Miss Congeniality is crowned. I don't remember Maya Bijaro being the Miss Congeniality of season 2. I also didn't recognize her. They brought her out and I was like, who is this diva? I do not know who you are. I had to go and look on the wiki to remember when she went home. She went home 4th. I don't remember her winning Congeniality. And the Miss Congeniality this season is Benze Diva, which makes sense in my fantasy because she was the most motherly and caring and funny and kind all season, so that makes sense to me. I loved her speech of always wanting to be a mom and now she has 10 kids. It was cute, happy for her. And I mean, it was never gonna be anybody else. Spicy and Godland are then cut from the final 2, which makes sense to me that they didn't do a final 3 lip sync, even though I would have liked that quite a bit. And here's where Godland rose to power for me. Because from the point that Miss Congeniality is announced, Godland knew, probably in her head from watching this show so much and knowing the way that Drag Race works. All right, my time is almost over. There probably will not be a Drag Race Thailand All-Stars, and if there is, I don't know if I want to participate. That was the energy that I was getting from her. My opportunity now is to try and reach someone at WOW who knows that I can speak English, maybe get a call for global, or maybe get a call for the Versus the World. And she spoke entirely in clear, perfectly structured English to make sure that whoever is watching this finale that works at WOW goes, oh, that's a girl that speaks English. We could absolutely call her up if we need a Versus the World. Because for the first Versus the World, they called Pangina, because I can only assume that the other English speakers of season 2, because I don't know who speaks English in season 1, would be Vanda and Jeannie. And I think Candy Cyanide speaks English too. I think weren't probably interested in doing a season where they wouldn't get any money. And when Canada rolls around, it's very difficult for them to get people who are not from Canada because of visas, but global is here now. So that is an opportunity to be seen in front of RuPaul, as so many of these girls want to be. And it's an opportunity to project your drag on a global stage, not just in a confined market where there are gonna be people like me who are watching who might like the cast, but don't have a huge impact on Drag Race viewers. So she spoke English the entire time, even down to her final confessionals, down to her final runway, continuing to speak only in English. And this was the moment where I thought, big Marina Summers energy. Because Marina spoke English her season, knowing that she wanted to be seen in front of Ru, knowing that if she spoke English, she could get a call for something else, and that her opportunities were not limited to Philippines. So Godland, thinking internationally, I don't want to lock myself here and never be able to travel anywhere else. So let me show you. Incredible star power for me. So our final 2 is ZP versus Frankie. ZP was doing all the tricks, fanography, glitter, stripping, throwing everything but the kitchen sink, and it was a fierce performance. Frankie was just bopping and vibing. She was like an auntie at karaoke, 2 champagnes in, just feeling the heat and the warmth and having a good time. And I love that kind of controlled woman of a certain age energy. They bring Angeli out and she looked snatch-zillaed. I hated her dress, but the mug was mugging. And like, she got some good ass work done. Cause that was work. And I was impressed. She was so snatched, that perfect triangular face. Bitch. She looked so good. And she's there to crown our new winner, which is Frankie motherfucking Wonga. I'm so happy that Frankie got this. Frankie deserved this. From that ball runway look to that creepy mother, that hair look, and that nose show from the very first episode. Frankie has done the damn thing every single week, and I have been holding out, hoping that maybe this wretched season would end on a high, and I'm so glad that it did. It doesn't negate any of my negative feelings I've had all season long, but I'm really, really happy to see Frankie win this because I've been rooting for her since day one. So we have discussed every episode. I want to know what your thoughts are as this season has now wrapped and finished. I personally would love to see Godland go to a versus the world. I would love if we did like a US versus the world so that they could win actual hard cash. They could have a much bigger cast and production. I don't want to see it go to UK anymore because they earn so little money and the visa situation is a little bit difficult. I don't want to see them go to Canada anymore because of CanCon. They have to have half of a Canadian cast, and that really pulls away from the versus the world part because it ends up being Canada versus the colonies. And I don't want to see a global situation because that just continues to limit the scope of what is acceptable drag. I think a versus the world is perfectly fine. Up the prize package to 150k, bring like 16 girls in from around the world, maybe even double up on some seasons. Like in an ideal world, I would love to see Godlin and Banda on a versus the world. So going forward, I am going to be posting a lot of stuff on my Drag Race alt channel. I'm going to be doing mostly reviews still on this channel, but a lot of my personal feelings, alternate universes, problems with seasons, etc. is going to be going over to another channel. So be sure to check that out. The link is below. I'm going to be doing 2 separate videos about Drag Race Thailand Season 3. One restructuring the season's challenges because they were a mess, and another one that's coming at a later date where I'm going to be discussing all the problems with this season because there were many. So keep an eye out on that channel. The link will be below. And I will see y'all very soon. Thank you for everyone who stuck around through this season and kept coming back to chat with me about your thoughts on it. I will see y'all on the flip.